that with the announcement today, hopefully will be dealt with. First of all, there are a lot of city agencies, maybe 30, that deal with bedbugs. Let me give you an example. When we first started, residents called 311, and it was all mixed up with pests. So there was no ability to pull out bedbugs. Well, to the credit of Do It, that's why you know that there are about 33,000 calls last year, a 54% increase from the year before, and we're on track to have another 33,000 come 2010. So that was one thing that we did, because people were so frustrated. Second, I have to give a lot of credit to Housing Preservation and Development. With all due respect to the Department of Health, which is now working, the HPD was way ahead. 2 years ago in Washington Heights, and then in Astoria, and then in Bushwick, we had forums organized by HPD. 1,000 people showed up in Washington Heights to hear about bedbugs with a really good presentation by HPD. The speaker will like the next one. We went to Astoria at a forum organized by Peter Malone Sr. and Peter Malone Jr. I think they're still having a heart attack. 800 people came to Astoria to talk about bedbugs to understand what they were, because they had no protocols and no education. And then we went to Bushwick with Diana Reyna, Councilmember Reyna. And HPD gave another good presentation. Small landlords there were hysterical. They had done everything they could, and nothing was working, and the tenants were upset, and they were trying hard. So there were like 2 dogs in New York City. That's it. And to the credit of those dogs and their owners, they were there and they solved the problem. That's just to give you a flavor of all the issues that we are going to try to solve. And we've been, thanks to the report and thanks to the city agencies, which are now on board, there has been a lot more information that has been shared with the public. I also just want to mention city workers in general.
Nobody.
We have testimony just on the budget from a DC 37 union representative. What was the first comment? Please solve the bedbug problem. Nothing to do with the budget. Why? Because they're workers. Adult protective service workers are some of the hardest workers in city government. Social workers go in from Agency for Children's Services into homes. Seniors are mentally ill and porters, and there are bedbugs, and there were no protocols. What kind of suit to wear? What do you do with your pocketbook? Where do you sit, etc. All the nonprofits in the city that work with seniors have called me. What do? We love our clients. We don't want to hurt them. What about the woman in the wheelchair? She has bedbugs. What do? She has to go out. I need to go with her. I'm a professional. All of these issues have come to the fore as a result of these discussions. Then there was the issue with the mattresses. We had legislation that said, as Boston does, put out your mattress, don't touch it, it has bedbugs. Well, I don't think New Yorkers are going to do that. So we didn't pass the legislation. We said, after a hearing last February 2009, we will look at legislation for mattresses and apartments and when you move into your co-op as a result of the wonderful work that this group has done. So the fact of the matter is we're waiting on legislation until we are all together as we are now, and then we will figure out about mattresses. Let me give an example. We got tons of calls. People buy a mattress, it has bedbugs brand new. Why? Because it was bumping against an old mattress in the truck that had been brought back because it was being perhaps reconditioned, or perhaps it was just going into the dump. The whole issue of mattresses needs to be addressed, and hopefully we will have some protocols in order to do that, and if we need legislation, we'll do it. Managers of buildings. It's not the landlord's fault. It's not the tenant's fault. You can be the mayor has many friends who've had bedbugs. He told me, Gale, all my friends have bedbugs. What am I going to do? So the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter if you're rich, or if you're poor, or if you're middle class, you have bedbugs. So the fact of the matter is, we need to know from the manager of the building's perspective what to do. And if it's a co-op, well run, they often have a protocol. They call one of the wonderful professionals, and it's dealt with at an early stage. But the poor courts, housing courts, are jammed with these cases because it is very expensive to do it one by one. And the tenants and the landlords are fighting about whose fault it is. So we have to figure out the protocols for that. The New York City Housing Authority tries very hard, but they are very understaffed. And I hope one of the things we will do is help the Housing Authority deal with bedbugs, because there are tremendous amounts. Not the fault of the tenants, not the fault of management. We need more staff and more protocol. John Jay College called. They're in my district. They dealt with it great. They had immediate communication. The building was closed. It was dealt with professionally. That is the kind of model that we want to use. The stores are now calling. I got 5 in my district. You hear about them on the news. The Department of Health has already been thinking, if you return an item, you don't just lay it on the counter. You put it in a bag. And you have to have those kinds of protocols as you are dealing with the retail sector. I can't tell you how many calls are coming in to 311. I purchased an item on my credit card. The store has bedbugs. The store says they don't. The credit card says they're not refunding. What do? So just to give you an idea, we've had hearings last February, press conferences on this topic. This great group has met on a regular basis and now has a report. And I want to thank many people to say, but Renee Carrera along the way, yay Renee! She has NY versus Bedbugs, which was the website that was the place to go for anybody who has or had bedbugs. I don't think we could have survived without that website for years and years. And now there's more material, thank goodness, from city agencies.